My best friend lied to everyone I knew, ruined my career, and stole the only man I ever truly loved. So, I tracked down all the people she'd hurt, gathered every ugly secret, and exposed her publicly. 2 years later, she's texting my family, begging for help, because no one else will answer. When I returned from Antarctica and checked my best friend's Instagram, I was completely stunned. Alexa and I had been inseparable since elementary school. She was always the vibrant extrovert to my quiet, introverted nature. I was the shy, unusual girl who loved books and frogs. Yet for some reason, she embraced me, declared me her favorite person, and then subtly began to shape me into her ideal best friend. You see, Alexa always aimed to be seen as the one who understood everything, who could fix people. She had this peculiar fascination with introducing individuals and playing matchmaker. She even took credit for my mom meeting my now stepdad. That particular match actually worked, which made it harder to object when she consistently set me up with the most unbearable men imaginable. Like Aaron, who asked me to Venmo him back for half a muffin on our first date, or Jamie, who stated that women over 30 were essentially expired, or Logan, who simply vanished and then told Alexa I was dull. I began to notice a pattern. Every man she chose for me made me feel diminished, and each time it didn't work out, she'd get this look in her eyes, as if she'd known all along, as if she desired that outcome. The Bryce connection and growing. Doubts back in high school, there was only one person I truly liked. His name was Bryce. He was a transfer student who sat next to me in chemistry. He asked about my multicolored pen notes and told me he appreciated my way of thinking. He didn't laugh when I mentioned my desire to study glacier formations. We connected. I told Alexa I liked him. She advised me to act nonchalant, to be calm, and not to make a move. 2 weeks later, Bryce was gone, having moved again. That was that. Now I'm 28, still single, and still receiving texts from Alexa, with the subject line, possible soulmate. I had stopped replying to most of them. I didn't even pretend anymore. Then I ran into Bryce at the grocery store. He was back in town. He looked older, of course, but also kind. He remembered me. We exchanged numbers, and I felt that familiar flutter in my chest again. I mentioned it to Alexa in passing. Her eyes lit up like a holiday. She insisted the three of us had to get coffee and catch up together. I suggested, maybe just me and him. She ignored that. The next day, we met at a cafe. Me, Alexa, and Bryce. It felt like a strange high school reunion filled with unspoken tension. Bryce and I connected instantly, but every time I started to ask something more personal, Alexa interrupted. She kept redirecting the conversation back to herself, her new job, her new dog, her new diet. I barely got a word in. Later that night, she texted me, saying she didn't really see me and Bryce together, but that she'd support me either way. I told her I was going to ask him out anyway. She said she was proud of me, but then he started pulling away. He left me on read, canceled coffee, said he was busy, then just stopped replying. 2 weeks later, Alexa told me her mom's science team was looking for a temporary field assistant for a research trip to Antarctica. I had wanted that job since I was 17. I cried when I received the offer. I left months later. The revelation and my response, I came back and opened Instagram. That's when I saw it. Alexa and Bryce together, holding hands on a pumpkin farm. The caption read, "Sometimes the best things come when you least expect them." I didn't respond. I didn't say anything when they got engaged 6 months later either. I received the invitation and placed it in a drawer. Then I saw Alexa's mom again. We were discussing how wonderful the Antarctica trip was and some of the findings when she asked me why I hadn't taken the job earlier. She said she was shocked when Alexa told her I wasn't interested initially, but was glad I changed my mind, even if it was after the experiment had already commenced. I just stood there and smiled. Later, a mutual friend let something slip, saying Alexa used to complain about always being compared to me, that she disliked how people preferred me even though she was always the best at everything, and that she'd been jealous for years. Then Bryce's ex-roommate told me that Alexa said I had a history of unhealthy relationships, that I once tried to ruin a friend's engagement. All falsehoods, apparently. She told him this right after our coffee meeting. Everything clicked. She had been undermining me for years, fabricating stories, controlling the narrative, ensuring I never got too close to something she wanted for herself, including Bryce. I went to my mom and told her what I had discovered. She sighed and said perhaps Alexa had a point, that I needed to stop holding grudges, that Alexa just wanted what was best for me. I disagreed. So I recorded a video, telling the entire story from the high school crush to the Antarctica job. All the manufactured setups and deceptions. Then I sent it to Bryce, to his family, to her family, to every mutual friend who ever thought Alexa was faultless. Then I disappeared. I logged off everything, blocked numbers, and took a temporary job in another city. Escalating harassment and seeking help 3 weeks later, I received a letter with no return address, just Bryce's handwriting. It said he was sorry and that the wedding was off. A day later, I received an anonymous message. You think you won, but I'm not done with you yet. It was Alexa. Her voice was unmistakable. The first sign she wasn't lying came when my new landlord called, saying someone reported me for having pets in a no-pet apartment. I don't have pets, never have, but suddenly I had to prove it, had to let them inspect my place twice. The landlord seemed apologetic but insisted on following protocol. Then my temporary job received a call. Someone claiming to be my previous employer said I'd stolen office supplies, a complete fabrication. My boss pulled me aside, asked what was going on. I told her it was personal drama. She looked skeptical but let it slide. I could tell she was keeping a closer eye on me after that. Next came the dating apps. Profiles with my photos started appearing everywhere. The bio stated I was looking for sugar daddies. My coworkers found them and started giving me strange looks. I reported every profile, but new ones kept appearing, each one more crude than the last. I changed my number, moved apartments, but somehow she kept finding me. Pizza deliveries I never ordered, magazine subscriptions. One time, 30 boxes showed up from an online retailer, all cash on delivery. The delivery driver was furious when I refused them. I started documenting everything. Screenshots, recordings, receipts. I built a folder on my laptop called Evidence, backed it up to 3 different cloud services just to be safe. Then I received a text from an unknown number, a photo of me at the grocery store, taken that morning. The message said, "Nice bananas." I called my brother Christopher. He's good with tech stuff, and I asked him to help me figure out how she was tracking me. He found an app on my phone I'd never downloaded, some location sharing thing buried deep in my settings. We deleted it, but the harassment continued. My car tires were slashed. Someone keyed "liar" into the paint. The cameras at my apartment complex mysteriously weren't working that night. The security guard just shrugged when I inquired about it. I reached out to Bryce's ex-roommate again. His name was Mason, and asked if he'd be willing to help. He said Alexa had been acting erratically since the breakup, that she'd shown up at his place demanding to know what he'd told me. She'd been drinking, crying, screaming that I'd ruined her life. Mason introduced me to his girlfriend, Lauren. She worked in HR and knew about workplace harassment. She helped me organize my evidence properly, taught me how to document incidents with dates and times, showed me how to write everything in neutral language that would hold up if I ever needed it legally. We started finding patterns. The harassment always happened after Alexa posted on social media, like she'd get angry seeing people support me online and then lash out. Her posts were always perfectly crafted, inspirational quotes about moving forward, photos of her thriving, but underneath, she was spiraling. Building a case and confronting the truth, I reached out to more people from our past and found out Alexa had done this before. To a girl named Catherine in college who'd received a scholarship Alexa wanted, and to her cousin Dorothy who'd dated a guy Alexa liked. Each person had a story. Each one thought they were alone. We started a group chat, shared our experiences, and built a timeline going back 15 years. The pattern was always the same: befriend, manipulate, destroy. The evidence gathering took months of careful coordination, but we knew we needed everything documented perfectly. Then things escalated. Someone called my mom's work and said I was having a mental breakdown, that I needed help. My mom called me crying, asked if I was okay. I had to explain everything again. She finally started to believe me. Alexa's mom reached out next, saying she was worried about me, that Alexa had shown her concerning posts I'd supposedly made. Posts that didn't exist. I showed her my actual social media. She went quiet. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line before she hung up. The turning point came when someone sent explicit photos to my stepdad's work email, photos that weren't me but had my face poorly photoshopped on. He called me immediately. We went to the police together. The officer took a report, saying without proof it was Alexa, there wasn't much they could do, but having the report on file helped, made it official. She gave me a case number and told me to document any future incidents. I kept working with Christopher and Mason. We set up security cameras, changed all my passwords, got a VPN, and started being more careful about what I posted online. Christopher even taught me how to check for tracking devices on my car. Then Lauren found something interesting. Alexa had been using her work computer to access certain websites, the same sites where the fake profiles appeared. Her company tracked employee internet usage. Lauren couldn't get the records, but she knew they existed. We needed Alexa to mess up, to leave evidence that pointed directly to her. So I did something risky. I unblocked her on one platform, posted a photo of me at a specific coffee shop, tagged the location, and waited. The intervention and aftermath, sure enough, she showed up, but I wasn't there. Mason was. He recorded her asking the barista about me, getting angry when they said I'd left. She knocked over a display on her way out, called the barista an idiot. The coffee shop had cameras. The manager gave us the footage after we explained the situation. Now we had her on video, clear as day, face visible, license plate visible as she sped out of the parking lot. I started reaching out to her other victims and built a network. We compared notes and found out she'd used the same tactics on everyone. The fake profiles, the workplace calls, the anonymous messages, even the same insults. One woman, Susan, still had emails from when Alexa targeted her. Another, Catherine, had saved voicemails. We compiled everything into one massive folder, cross-referencing dates and methods. The evidence was overwhelming. Then I made a decision. Instead of hiding, I'd confront this directly. I reached out to Alexa's inner circle, the people she'd manipulated over the years, and told them I wanted to meet to show them something important. Most ignored me, but a few agreed, including her mom and, surprisingly, Bryce. We met at a neutral location, a community center conference room. I brought Mason and Lauren as support and had my laptop ready with all the evidence. My hands were shaking as I set up the presentation. As people arrived, I could see the doubt in their eyes. Alexa had probably already told them I was unstable, jealous, making things up. I took a deep breath and began. I started with the facts, showed them the timeline, the patterns, the evidence from multiple people spanning over a decade. I kept my voice steady, didn't get emotional, just presented fact after fact after fact. Alexa's mom's face changed as she recognized names, recognized incidents, and started asking questions. When did this happen? Why didn't anyone tell her? Her hands covered her mouth as the reality sank in. Bryce looked sick, said Alexa had told him so many stories about me, about how I was obsessed with him, how I tried to break them up before. All lies. He kept running his hands through his hair, shaking his head. Then I showed them the recent harassment, the photos, the videos, the police report, the fake profiles still active online, the coffee shop footage where she was clearly looking for me. The room got quiet. Someone asked why I hadn't come forward sooner. I explained how Alexa operated, how she isolated people, made them doubt themselves, made others doubt them, how she was always one step ahead, always had an explanation ready. Her mom started crying, said she'd noticed changes in Alexa over the years, the lying, the manipulation, but she'd made excuses, thought it was just competitiveness, thought she'd grow out of it. We talked for 2 hours. People shared their own experiences, things they'd noticed but dismissed, red flags they'd ignored, stories that suddenly made sense in this new context. By the end, everyone agreed something had to be done. We couldn't let her keep doing this to people. But we had to be smart about it. We had to protect ourselves while stopping her from hurting anyone else. We decided on an intervention. Not the soft kind where everyone cries and hugs, but the kind where everyone she'd manipulated would be in one room, where she couldn't run or deflect or lie her way out. Her mom set it up, told Alexa she needed help planning a family reunion, and asked her to come to the community center to look at the space. Alexa agreed immediately, probably thinking she'd get to control another event. The day came fast. I got there early with Mason and Lauren. We set up chairs in a circle, put the evidence on a table in the middle. My stomach was doing flips. Christopher texted me good luck from his car outside. He was our backup plan if things went sideways. People started arriving. Bryce came with his sister. Alexa's mom brought her sister. Catherine flew in from 2 states away. Dorothy drove 3 hours. Catherine took the day off work. Even some of Alexa's high school friends showed up, people she'd hurt over the years. We all sat there waiting. Nobody really talked, just nervous energy filling the room. Then we heard her car, that distinctive engine sound. My heart started pounding. She walked in smiling, carrying color swatches and a binder. The smile froze when she saw us all sitting there. Her eyes darted around the room, landed on me. The look she gave me could have melted steel. Her mom stood up, told her to sit down, that we needed to talk. Alexa tried to leave, but Bryce's sister blocked the door, not threatening, just standing there. Alexa's face went red. She sat down, crossed her arms, said this was ridiculous, that she didn't have time for whatever strange game I was playing. Her mom told her to listen, just listen. We went around the circle. Each person told their story. Catherine talked about losing the scholarship, how Alexa had submitted a complaint about her essay being plagiarized. It wasn't, but the damage was done. Dorothy shared how Alexa had told her boyfriend she was cheating. She wasn't, but he believed Alexa. They broke up. She found out years later when he apologized. Catherine described the anonymous letters her boss received, saying she was stealing, that she was unstable. She almost lost her job, only kept it because her boss knew her character. Person after person, story after story. Alexa kept trying to interrupt, kept saying they were lying, that I'd poisoned them against her, but the evidence was right there. Emails, screenshots, recordings. When it was my turn, I kept it simple. Showed the coffee shop video, the fake profiles, the police report, the timeline of harassment. I didn't get emotional, just stated facts. Alexa's mom was the last to speak. She talked about watching her daughter become someone she didn't recognize, about the lies she'd caught her in, about the family members who distanced themselves, about how she'd enabled it by always making excuses. The room went quiet. Alexa sat there. Her face was unreadable. Then she laughed, said we were all pathetic, that we were jealous of her success, that she tried to help us, and this was how we repaid her. Her mom pulled out her phone, showed Alexa the evidence folder, all of it. Every lie documented, every pattern mapped out, every victim's story verified. She told her it was over. The games, the manipulation, all of it. Alexa's mask finally cracked. She started screaming, called me every name imaginable, said I'd ruined her life, that everything was my fault, that she'd made me who I was and I'd betrayed her. Bryce stood up, told her to stop, said he'd seen who she really was now, that their whole relationship had been built on lies, that he felt sick thinking about how she'd manipulated him. She turned on him next, started listing his flaws, his insecurities, things he'd told her in confidence. He just shook his head and walked out. His sister followed. One by one, people started leaving. Each person told Alexa they were done. No more contact, no more chances, no more enabling. Her mom was the last to go. She hugged her daughter, said she loved her but couldn't watch her hurt people anymore, said therapy was non-negotiable if she wanted any relationship going forward. Then it was just me and Alexa. She stared at me with pure hatred, told me I'd won, that she hoped I was happy. I told her I wasn't happy, I was free. I left her sitting there alone, surrounded by evidence of what she'd done. Christopher drove me home. I cried the whole way, not sad tears, but relief. The harassment stopped immediately. The fake profiles disappeared. The calls ended. She knew we had too much evidence now, too many witnesses, too much proof. I heard through the grapevine that she moved cities, started therapy, and lost most of her friend group. Her mom still talks to her, but with boundaries, strict ones. I rebuilt quietly, got a better job, made real friends, and started dating someone who actually likes me for me. Not someone Alexa approved of, just someone I met at a bookstore who thinks my glacier obsession is cool. Sometimes I wonder if she's changed, if therapy helped, if she found new victims. But mostly, I don't think about her at all. That's the real victory. She's just not part of my story anymore. The intervention worked because it wasn't about revenge. It was about truth, about showing her that her games had consequences, that people compare notes, that manipulation has an expiration date. My life isn't perfect now, but it's mine. Nobody else gets to write my script, and that's worth everything.